Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese. Chinese pot, Chinese pot, Chinese pot. That's the way to learn Chinese.
Hello and welcome back to Chinese Pod. My name is Kai En, and beside me is the famous.
No,
famous,
I'm Jenny. I'm still the old Jenny.
You are famous. Let me tell you, we didn't reveal this, but we can reveal it now. That recently, Jenny spent a week in Beijing, and she traveled with some very, very famous people, and she worked as a translator. Do you want to just briefly tell us what that was about, Jenny?
Okay, I was the translator for Maria Shriver, First Lady of California, the Golden State.
Wow.
Yeah, and it was a larger-than-life experience.
I would say so.
In every true sense of that phrase.
Of course. And of course, you got to see her hubby.
Yes, very briefly though, but I got to see the governor, as he is called now. Of course, Arnold Schwarzenegger.
Arnold Schwarzenegger,
Arnie,
the man.
yeah.
How is his Chinese, by the way, Arnold?
Very good. He can say things like, he can greet very well.
Really? Oh, good. Did you teach him?
No,
Okay.
but we always said, good morning in Chinese as I did to his wife, Maria
That's
Shriver.
good.
Yeah,
Oh,
and they
very
like
good.
that.
Very good. I'm impressed. Good.
And
Did you get any photos with him?
yes, I took a
Oh,
gorgeous
okay.
photo with her.
Oh,
She was
that's great.
wearing a beautiful evening gown
Oh,
by a
she's such a
Californian
lady.
designer. Yeah, and the best part is she. The main purpose of her visit is to promote Special Olympics.
Yes.
She is very dedicated to that
That is
course.
wonderful.
Yeah, so I really got to see a lot of things, for example, like a women's psychological counseling center
Wow.
and a children's home.
Well
and
done.
A lot of kids participating in Special Olympics.
Well done. You see, this is the level of people we have here on Chinese Pod. So
Of
I'm
course.
really impressed. Well done. So translating for Maria Shriver on that recent trip. And we will, I think we're going to get maybe post some photos on the blog.
Yeah.
And let's, great, wonderful. I'm so impressed. I can hardly focus on my lesson now. But anyway, today's lesson is about, it's about
Something much more exhilarating.
Oh, yes, traffic indeed. Yes, so it's about traffic indeed. So why don't we listen, first of all, to our dialogues? There's an awful lot more to these phrases and constructions if you go to the Learning Center. Our head of academics has been building these incredible series of exercises to help you consolidate those. So you'll hear them here a couple of times, but you really need to go to the Learning Center to consolidate it there. So why don't we listen to it in our traditional manner? We could listen to it 3 times.
上海的交通怎么样？
还可以，我每天坐地铁去上班。
你经常坐出租车吗？
很少，虽然坐出租车很方便，但是很贵。
哦，我明白你的意思。
Great. Now let's go through these sentences one by one. I'll translate the meaning of each sentence. If you could lead the way, please, Jenny.
上海的交通怎么样？
What's the traffic like in Shanghai?
上海的交通怎么样？
What's the traffic like in Shanghai?
上海的交通怎么样？
What's the traffic like in Shanghai?
还可以，
Not so bad.
还可以，
It's okay.
还可以。
Not bad.
我每天坐地铁去上班。
I take the subway every day to go to work.
我每天坐地铁去上班。
I take the subway to work every day.
我每天坐地铁去上班。
I take the subway to work every day.
你经常坐出租车吗？
Do you often take taxis?
你经常坐出租车吗？
Do you often take a taxi?
你经常坐出租车吗？
Do you often take taxis?
很少，
Very seldom.
很少，
Not often.
很少。
Rarely.
虽然坐出租车很方便，但是很贵。
Although it's very convenient to take a taxi, it's also very expensive.
虽然坐出租车很方便，但是很贵。
Although it's very convenient to take a taxi, it's also very expensive.
虽然坐出租车很方便，但是很贵。
Although it's very convenient to take the taxi, it's also very expensive.
哦，我明白你的意思
Oh, I see what you mean.
啊，我明白你的意思。
Oh, I see what you mean.
哦，我明白你的意思。
Oh, I understand what you mean. Okay, good. Now, there are a lot of idiomatic type things we need to look at here to get the detailed breakdown of the sentences. Now, the first sentence, could you read the first sentence one more time, please, Jenny, and
Yeah.
we'll take a look at it.
上海的交通怎么样？
Okay. Now, literally translated, it means Shanghai's traffic is like what? All right. So let's look at it. Now, 交通, the word for traffic is...
交通，
Okay. So the traffic in Shanghai...
上海的交通，
Good. One more time, please.
上海的交通。
So you reverse it in Chinese. Quite often you reverse it. So
yeah.
we'll start off and we'll say the traffic in Shanghai. But in literal translation in Chinese, you start off with, you'll say Shanghai's traffic. Shanghai 的交通. Okay.
Yeah. So people and places always come first, and they describe the actual, what do you call it, subject?
That's right, yeah. So good. So maybe we could get some more examples of this. So
Yeah, of course.
could you choose, let's say, so a moment ago we had, so what's the traffic in Shanghai like? Let's try something like the weather. How would you ask that one?
上海的天气怎么样？
Again, please.
上海的天气怎么样？
Good. Now, 天气 is weather, of course. So, Shanghai's weather is like what, literally translated. So, how about something else? How about food? How do you ask the question, what's the food like in Shanghai?
上海的食物怎么样？上海的食物怎么样？
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to Chinese Pod Trivia. Our first question is, how long will it take you to become an intermediate Chinese speaker using the Chinese Pod app? Is it A, the rest of your life? B, you should already be an intermediate speaker? C, 3 months? Or D, Chinese Pod has an app?
You should already be in.
Ooh, that is incorrect. The correct answer is C, 3 months. That's right. Head over to ChinesePod.com now to register for your access to over 4,000 lessons. Get the Chinese Pod app now on Google Play or the App Store.
Okay, 食物 is food. Now, that we haven't included that in the transcript, but we'll come to that at another time. But anyway, there's a construction if you want to ask the question, what's that something like in Shanghai? Or, of course, it could be in Beijing or it could be
Anywhere.
anywhere. Okay. Now, let's look again for a second at this word for traffic. Okay. Now, this also in some other contexts is sometimes used. It can also mean communications, right?
Yes.
At the level of traffic communications,
Yeah.
right? Give us some examples, please, Jenny. Where is it used in that context?
Maybe a very big bank in China. The
There's-
name of the bank is 交通银行
And that's called in English the Bank of Communications.
right.
So one more time, please.
交通银行
Good, the Bank of Communications. Now, there's a university in Shanghai also called...
交通大学 交通大学
Now, 大学, of course, means university. So, literally translated, this would be the sort of traffic or the communications university.
University, yeah.
That doesn't make a whole lot of sense in English. Where did that come from?
I think when the university was first established, it specialized in roads
Roads
and
and-
how to build railways.
Yeah. At that level of
Your
communications,
infrastructure, yes.
And then to this day, Jiao Tong University is still one of the most famous universities in China.
Yeah, and of course the disciplines expanded a lot.
Absolutely,
So-
but they're still very big on engineering and construction and architecture and road planning and stuff like that. So that's the traffic university literally translated.
Oh,
yeah.
they'd be very upset with you.
Communications, indeed. 还可以. Now, a useful phrase, again, we had that in the past meanings. It's a modest way to say something is relatively good or it's
Yeah.
okay. Now, the subway. Can we take a look at the tones for that one, please?
地铁 So fourth and third tones.
Fourth and third tones. One more time, please.
地铁
Good. Now, the sentence here was, I take the subway to work every day. But you could you give us that sentence one more time, please? I take the subway to work every day.
我每天坐地铁去上班。
So, each day, 我每天 I every day 坐地铁. Now, when to take, in English we say to take the train, take a taxi, take the bus. The verb in Chinese is
坐
坐. Okay. So you could say 坐地铁 means to take the subway. What else? What other context can you use this 坐?
I believe can. Every day you take 出租车
A taxi.
去上班。
去上班.
Right?
Yeah.
You're the boss.
Oh, yeah.
And you're rich.
I wish. But what else now? If I didn't feel so rich today, I might take the what?
公共汽车
Right, so the verb would be
坐公共汽车去上班。
good. So let's go through those again. So to take a taxi,
坐出租车
take a bus,
坐公共汽车
take the subway.
坐地铁
Good. Now, 上班 we had before, meaning to go to work, to start work also. Now, the next one is the expression for often. Let's look at that sentence. What was that sentence with 经常 in it?
你经常坐出租车吗？
So, do you often take a taxi? Now, can we look at that expression again? Often.
经常
So, and the tones are
first and second.
first and second. 经常, okay. And that can be used in other contexts. Of course, let's try that. So, I'll go through some of them and you can just give us the
Yeah.
translation. Do you often take a taxi?
你经常坐出租车吗？
Do you often take the subway?
你经常坐地铁吗？
Do you often take the bus?
你经常坐公共汽车吗？
Good. And then the next one was rarely. Rarely.
很少。
So that's 3 and 3, third and third tone. Is that
Yes,
correct?
yes.
So one more time, please.
很少。
Rarely. Now, there's one more important construction we want to look at here, and it's, could you go through that sentence, the next sentence for us, please?
虽然坐出租车很方便，但是很贵。
Now, 虽然 meaning although
Yeah,
or even though, and 方便 meaning
convenient.
convenient. So, although it's convenient to take a taxi,
Yeah.
so could you give us that bit?
虽然坐出租车很方便，
But it's very expensive.
但是很贵。
But it's very expensive.
但是很贵。
Okay. Now, again, now you could actually reverse this, couldn't you? Instead of saying, Could you give us the reverse order of that? You could say.
虽然坐出租车很贵，但是很方便。
So in this case, although it's very expensive to take a taxi, it's also very convenient.
Yeah. And in English, if you use the word although or even though, you cannot use but. However, in Chinese, they always go hand in hand.
Yeah, that's right. Good. Now, the last sentence I'd like to look at is really, really useful. A great way to put a phrase together into a very useful expression, and it is...
我明白你的意思。
So, I know what you mean.
Yeah, I see what you
I see.
mean.
So, 明白 means to see in that sense, to understand.
To understand.
Yeah. And 你的意思 meaning...
Your meaning.
Your
What
meaning.
you mean.
意思 means meaning.
Meaning. Yeah.
That's right, what it means. So 我明白你的意思 means I clearly see your meaning. I clearly understand what you're trying to say. Extremely useful. So maybe one or two more times, please, Jenny.
我明白你的意思。我明白你的意思。If you don't see what they mean, you can say 我不明白你的意思。
So I don't understand what you mean. One more time, please.
我不明白你的意思。
Okay, good stuff. Lots of new words here, lots of new constructions and sentence patterns here. This is very much spoken Chinese. These are the patterns that you'll hear. These are the patterns that I recommend strongly that you learn, you drill down and you practice with them at the Learning Center on ChinesePod.com. So I think it's time for us to say today from me, Kai-En, and the famous translator, Miss Jenny Zhu over here. It's time for
I
us
try
to
to stay grounded.
Well done. You did a great job with that. Okay, time for us to say
再见。
再见.
As usual, ChinesePod provides an extensive selection of learning materials for this lesson on its website, www.chinesepod.com. You can access this lesson directly with the lesson number 0057. So just go to www.chinesepod.com/0057 and you will find a transcript, vocabulary, and much more. The link again, www.chinesepod.com/0057.